Welcome everybody to our new office space. Need to review the minutes from our previous meeting. Anybody read those?
Make the motion to approve them as printed.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Are we gonna do the update first on DPW water, or do we wanna, just on the water, you wanna go right to council on aging?
Let's do council and then go back to DPW.
Okay. I'm gonna go over council of aging. And bear with me tonight, because we are trying to just use the Chromebook, so.
There are two in your Chromebook folders. One is the DPW budget for the current population, and the other one is the 10,000 plus that we talked about last week, how I've asked each department to do that.
All right, so we want the, which one?
Current.
Budget, okay, plus 10K, okay, gotcha. Okay. It's blinking at me, so.
Why won't it allow you to open multiple tabs, or what do you have to do to get it to open multiple tabs?
I'll take over. This is just using it through the drive right
Yeah,
now. I think if
I
you
have it
open it
right
through
here.
the browser, it should be able to let you
He's
do that.
stubborn, let him go.
I have it. All right.
All right, so we're looking at the current, not with the 10,000.
Yes, the current population.
Okay, so as most of you are aware, some of you are new, I have a pretty modest budget. Myself, my outreach worker combined work slightly less than a full-time person. So my increase here that I would really like to have is at least, we're trying for 2 hours more a week because we're both over our hours all the time. We can't get enough, and we're inundated with more and more phone calls, just, people that need help. People are living longer and they just need help. So that takes away, you know what I mean? Sometimes we just have to spend an hour on the phone. It's not usually an hour, but we do just to get people services or get them the help that they need. That'll continue to increase, but we thought at least if we got 2 more each, that would be good. My other increases, my purchase services went up by $1,620 because there was an increase in their yearly, it's a maintenance fee, but also I used to fund $1,000 of that through the button cell battery program, which is going to end. It's a good thing it's gonna end because they've collected a lot of the mercury. They feel that they've collected so much that they're done, but this coming year is the last year we can submit for it. So we may get it to use. I just got the check for the last year, so it's really kind of a year behind when you get it anyways. So I put that increase in there because that'll stay. And the other, 20% of supplies, which I usually do every year, and then MCOA yearly dues goes up a little bit, and that's the new projected number. Really kind of simple, straightforward. We're doing a lot more programming. We have a wonderful department that reuses, recycles, gets donations, has a ton of volunteers, which is a good thing. But we're having to service a whole lot more people, which we want to continue to do that because we also want to draw in younger seniors or people approaching the senior years. So it'll continue to grow, but.
So do you think that most of your biggest issue as far as your time and your other person is more phone stuff? I mean, that the increase
It's phone
is.
or walk-in or just a lot of legwork to get people what they need. I mean, we literally will get some phone calls that'd be, I don't know what to do. I'm 85 years old, I can't do the things I used to do, I need help, or I need to go somewhere. And what's happening with a lot of the council, with most of the council on agents, is we're really becoming not only providing activities, which we want to do, to people to stay healthy, stay moving, but we are a resource center. And that's the direction that we're going in. So, did I answer your question?
Do people know that you're there and that you can do all that? I mean, what's our education in the town?
I think we need a lot more. We were talking about that today. I think the majority of people feel that it's kind of a much older population. like 80, 90 plus, and it isn't.
Right.
Especially exercise, we now have 5 exercise programs going, beginning in March, we'll have one every single day, which is really important. That's what Mass Council on Aging wants us to do, Elder Services wants us to do, is offer that for people. And our formula grant, which we get every year, will fund a lot of that. Some Council on Agings charge a price for that. It's minimal, $5 or less, but people aren't used to it, so it's hard to do that. I all of a sudden get people that don't show up because they have to pay. And I particularly feel, and a lot of directors do, that that's probably the most important thing. And we need to be able to offer the exercise to people. I'd rather skip somewhere else
Right.
than with exercise. We've also talked about implementing a membership to draw more people, and we have one currently for our friends, so they pay it's minimal, it's $10 a year, but it adds up, and most people just pay it. Some people never have. We thought, let's maybe start with some of the services we have come in, like Bemis Nursery, for example. They do a project, they discount it for us, our friends group subsidizes it. But maybe now it'll be, instead of the friends group subsidizing half, they'll substitute, subsidize, 25% and for non-members. And if you're a member, you'll get the full amount.
It's a good way to
Just
get
little
it.
things like that.
You guys send out a newsletter.
Right,
Do
I
they-
was just gonna say
Do
that.
they turn, when they turn an age, do they get it? They have to
60.
subscribe to, right, but they automatically get it. when they turn-
Automatically
okay.
get it, yeah.
When's that come out?
I'm sorry?
Once a month,
Once
once a
a
quarter?
month.
Yeah.
Once a month, we get it at the beginning of the month. We've Elder Services is a big part of that because they pay half the postage, and then my friends group pays the other half. But they want it out there. That's our form of advertising.
How else would you promote it? I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you can't,
yeah.
you could try social media, but 3/4 of them don't use it.
And it's I mean, the newsletters. I don't know if any of you've
Newsletter's
seen
good.
it, but it's
It's a
bright.
really
Oh, yeah, I've
colorful-
seen it. That, my parents
Yeah.
didn't get it, so I
Yeah,
saw
okay.
it. I don't think they go, but they get it.
So, yeah, the more, and we're trying, we're putting more programs, more presentations. We have learned, particularly over the last few months, the police did a luncheon. Oriole Healthcare in Holden is doing corned beef dinner in the month of March. Barnside's coming in to help us with breakfast next week. Any of those, they're very well attended. I might get, on a popular day with Meals on Wheels, sometimes we get 20, 25 people, especially on a holiday. Other times it's 4, 6, 8. I have these, it's 40, 50, we had 70 at that spaghetti luncheon.
Yeah.
So they know it's there, it's just they choose not to utilize some of the stuff you have.
Well, they like the different things, so that's what we're trying. They like the outside food, they like the outside programs, the more fun programs than educational programs, because they don't want to come, people don't want to come and listen to insurance unless they
Right.
really, they're changing, they're just
Probably
going on
won't go to work out
Medicare.
either.
There could be some too that are strapped for money that come to the free ones and when
Sure.
they can. So,
Yeah.
Right.
no
But
question
even when
about
they're
that.
not free, they come, because I think it's something different.
Right.
Something different,
know?
but
So is there any opportunity to survey, find out what people think, like, what they'd be willing to pay?
There is, every time we send one out, we get a handful back. It's
How
been
about at the dinners?
suggested to try and, huh?
How about at the dinners?
We could.
Pass something out.
Yeah,
I guess but we have not done this, but it's the best to do it if we can send it out with a mailing.
The newsletter.
From, not the newsletter.
Oh,
from
the
census.
taxes. Yeah.
From the taxes or the
yeah.
census.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
Probably get more.
yeah, I mean, that would be
just got
the
it,
smartest
so,
thing to do.
Yeah.
They have to open it and look at
I was
it, and
gonna say, I
then,
thought
Yeah,
mine
then
was
go
in the
forward.
mail
Tell them they
today.
won't be registered if they don't send it back.
Everybody who has not been over there, who is over 60, should go over.
over 60?
I know. I'm probably the only one in the room, but
No,
to
no. You're not the only
really
one.
see what's
You're not the
there.
only one.
I mean, at least
I thought you
we're
had to be-
talking about money
I thought you
and
had to be 80
building.
to go over there. Don't you have to be 80?
Tommy, this is gonna be on TV, knock it off.
Just kidding.
Anyway,
Nancy and I were
should
just
do that.
talking today too. We had I brought Secretary Chen from Governor Baker's cabinet over to the center last week. She's the Secretary for Elders Affairs, and she was giving us some ideas for how other councils on agings are expanding. She brought up that there's one. Was it in the Berkshires or was it?
It's somewhere west, yeah.
That partnered with the YMCA to do a regional fitness cooperative with them, because what the Y is trying to do now is get out of their own buildings and into the communities for their senior work. So they had whatever town it was in the Berkshires buy a certain number of exercise equipment pieces. The Y rents that room out and runs their exercise programs for the Council on Aging there. So that way the Y has all of the liability there. And it's a regional service there. So it's because you can go to any senior center even if it's not in the town that you reside in. So that's a way to get people from out of town in there as well. So we're looking at different things like that, regional transportation based off of her recommendations too. So we are looking at growing the center as well.
And I think people have talked about regionalizing in the past, but more so, well, let's have one building and expect everybody from the 5 surrounding towns to come, and that won't happen. But it might happen with specific categories
Yeah,
like
so
this.
if
They
we
might
do
come to Rutland for
a
the gym
regional
and go to-
system where it's one center specializes in this and then another center specializes in that. That's a more
Like arts and crafts,
Yeah.
exercise, that kind
Yeah.
of
But
thing.
you'd wanna make sure that you're putting those services in places where people will go.
yeah.
I mean, arts and crafts may not be attractive to 4 of the 5 areas. You wanna
Yeah.
make sure that you get it where it would be most effective.
Absolutely.
Nancy, would you be able to venture, looking at the budget that you have and the amount you have for the outreach worker and for the director's salary, what numbership and users can you go up before those numbers need to increase? Any
How many people can you
Use the
serve?
services
correct,
before
I
this
guess,
is
yeah.
not gonna work.
Oh, it probably is already, that's probably not enough, but we thought, we're gonna ask a little bit at a time. Because we're
Yeah.
already,
If you look at the 10,000 budget too, those numbers go up to 39 and change for the director and 19 and change for the outreach worker, just because of the number of hours that would be needed if that happens.
Another 3,000 more than that.
Yeah, about 3,000 each.
and we're, small as far as staffing. You go to Holden, they have a receptionist, they have multiple positions. We're not at that point yet. Some people say you build a new center or you remodel a center, all of a sudden you're gonna get a couple hundred people that walk in the door within the first few months that have never been there before.
So, to work off of Ted's question, at what point are you not able to deliver services? Is there a point, do you have anything that might say, yeah, if I'm at 7,500 people, it's this, at 9,000, it's this, at 12,000, I shut the door?
Not really, because we've never had the full, the population. We have over 1,700, or at least over 1,600
Yeah.
seniors in town.
Right.
They don't take advantage of that. If they walked in the door, we wouldn't be able to handle it at all. I mean, we wouldn't be able to handle it if we had 300 come in the door.
Do your
a day.
numbers higher when recession hits and there's less money out there? You get more people?
Probably for meals, we would.
Yeah, probably a little bit, but not by
And-
too
No,
much.
not as
Yeah.
much.
We only have 1,600 people in this town over 60?
Of seniors, it's over 1,700, I think now. I have to
Out
get the
of
exact number. I don't have
9,000.
the.
About
That's
9,000.
amazing.
Ninety-
Well,
Myself
not
and
really.
1,600 of my friends.
But if you think about up till 11 years ago, was the youngest town growth because of all the housing. It was the youngest
Yeah.
town growing, so you get that core population, and still less kids in school. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable.
I don't
You
get
think he's on
There
a
we
Say
go.
build more.
Yeah, really.
Sorry, let's move on.
Could somebody ask him to peruse the building?
Want to go look at the equipment?
So I guess the concern that I have is, do you have enough to do what your charter is? Is this request enough to do what your charter is? And if it is, I mean, because of your experience, then that's good. It's good that we're not overexposed here.
It's good because, it works because we have a tremendous volunteer pool, honestly.
Okay.
And a tremendous amount given by the community. I mean, we have a little boutique. Most of the centers have some kind of little gift shop or boutique that the Friends runs. But I get people that just come in, all ages, we have this extra, we wanna donate that. it's because of those
That
things.
helped, that supplement it, yeah.
Yeah,
So that becomes critical in making the budget, I think, because you're dependent upon
but-
services that are not costing anything.
right.
And if that were to change tomorrow morning, if all of a sudden you had to replace that with stuff you had to pay for, it'd have a dramatic impact.
Be upside
Oh,
down.
huge, we
It'd
wouldn't
be
be able to
upside
do
down.
it.
So I think it's important just to be able to make that a part of, what this is. We are heavily dependent upon volunteers to be able to deliver the services at this rate.
Mhm.
Good news.
Which means we really need to keep your salary at a decent level because you're the one that runs the whole thing
Absolutely.
and gets the volunteers.
Yeah.
So in the long run, we want to spend the money on you.
In the long run, we also need another position.
Well,
Yeah.
that would be nice.
Overall, that's what it
Yeah.
really comes
In-
down to,
in
but we don't
some
have it.
point.
We're not gonna have it based on what we're gonna be dealing with
Right.
next week.
Right.
Right. Luckily, we have a really good team of people. I mean, we have one site manager. She's not paid by the town. She's paid by Elder Services. So she does the meals. She again has a team of volunteers, drivers, and people that help her in the kitchen. But it's one of those things that everybody just kind of works together. It meshes, and we do a whole lot more than we're either paid to do or most people might want to do, but you know what, because it's rewarding and everybody gets along, which is a really good thing. Another tribute to the community, really.
All right, I think, is there anything else on the questions that you've got? I mean, you've nailed it right to left. Any other questions from anybody or comments? Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Careful driving home with all that traffic.
Yeah. Go around.
She's going the other
I
way.
have to go and pick Lyndon up, so I've gotta go there.
My son said they shut it down.
Really?
What?
Oh, they stopped letting people in, or they?
Oh.
Too many in there.
Yep.
Did you give,
I knew there was gonna
Joe
happen.
back?
Joe's right behind you.
Oh.
He's sitting there nice and quiet.
Keep the,
Go down, hey,
Oh.
Look at that, see, the
go down there
community's
with
helping you
Sassawana,
out.
go that way
Here,
home.
there you go, the community helping bring
There
it
we
through.
go, there you go. Okay. No. All right, thank you.
We can't keep you any longer, so don't get them, bail them out. Thanks again.
I told her earlier that I won't be here next week, so if Linda could fill in, she said he won't show up.
Good night.
Good
All right,
night, thank
Nancy,
you.
thank you.
All right.
anybody need cookies or no? Sorry.
As I mentioned real quick last week at the end of the meeting, Joe and I are still working on the water sewer budget, just because we're still in negotiations with DCR.
Talk about some of the details, but
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit, not too much, just because those negotiations are ongoing. But we do have the full DPW budget here, and for those that want a printed version of what we have here, we have those available as well.
Oh, I have that. I've heard of it.
What, you're lucky, I didn't,
Oh, that's right.
I didn't have time today to look at those.
Yep.
Damn lucky. A budget is 3 years minimum, 5 years acceptable, so that we can see where you go up and where you go down. I don't see that here. Am I missing it?
no, I didn't include it because I restructured how we do it.
It's all completely restructured.
Still?
You're not gonna
You still
follow
put 0, 0, 0. It's 3 to 5 years, best practices.
Okay, we can get it to you.
I'm just letting you know,
No,
that's
it's
best
fine.
We
practices.
could, we'll ask politely.
Yeah.
No, no,
It's no, I can't go easy on him because I hit everybody the same.
no, it's fine. I have all the data. I just restructured it.
Yep.
And the big spreadsheet with the
Yes.
small type right there does have it all. as well.
It does,
Yeah.
but not line by
This
line,
one
and
here?
so
Yeah.
it's harder to
So
see
right
which
after,
lines are new, except if you look. So,
So it's the next page.
I hit
Well, the
everybody the
building
same.
one. It's
That's
okay.
one, and then it's the next page after that.
Go ahead.
Highway administrator.
What's that?
Right there.
Did everybody get the memo?
Yep.
Yes,
Did you have any questions on the memo?
This guy?
That's the one.
What page number?
What memo?
it's on 3 and 4.
It's
This
right
was
in-
emailed out to
I assume
everyone.
we're starting on
last
three.
It's right in the front of the book too.
Three.
Okay,
That's the memo. he's talking
I
about.
saw that
And
one,
you-
but I was looking
and
at
then
the
I'm like, look, and I don't
Four
have
is
this
the
email.
next part.
Take a couple
Oh, did
minutes.
it go to my home, my personal, or to,
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
to
well,
this
both.
one?
Both.
Take a couple minutes.
It didn't come
And
to
the
this
four
one?
is the,
yeah.
page 4 is down here.
If you'd like, take a couple minutes, we're okay.
But I'm not sure where it's starting, so,
But that's really just for,
but this
to
is,
go back.
this is if you
This
only
is
I
have,
have it in
a-
mind.
if you have a magnifying glass.
This is
that
what
you-
he's.
Yeah, but where's, so where's that one?
Mike gave it to me.
We got plenty of time.
You want to share?
Sure. Do we another one of
It's
those
on the
big
Google.
ones?
It's all good. I always pull them out.
I'll get
on
another.
my own.
Take it.
What, maybe, he said he's got one here, maybe there's
all
one there.
Take that.
That's okay. Here we go.
All right, thanks.
Here we go.
Where would you folks like to start?
I keep putting these dates on there.
When are you gonna fix the
2/20,
potholes in front of
2020.
my house?
I know,
There's
nice.
your house. They fix potholes today. We fix potholes every day.
I saw them out there.
Karen, do you have one of these?
Which one's that one?
This is the one. This is the one,
The
The
one.
same that's
That's
in
the
here?
master,
I was
yeah.
like,
okay?
Yeah.
cause if they're starting to change, we got a problem.
Yeah, yeah, no, they're the same.
Okay,
No, we don't have a problem, you got some more copies here, that's all.
no, I'm good.
So we're starting right with the budget? Everybody is happy with the email?
Yeah, the memo.
Memo?
I'm sorry, I forget your first name. You want a couple minutes to read it?
Which is this one here, right?
Yes.
Ted,
Ted.
Yeah, no, just go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, just go for it.
Okay.
Plainly speaking, as it says in the memo, I didn't speak a lot to the 10,000 population. Most of the problems with DPW on the 10,000 population speaks to capital improvements. And capital improvements are handled separately, but we did lobby extensively with the capital improvement committee to try and develop a capital plan. The first pieces of it will go out this spring. You'll see water and sewer capital money being spent here in town. There's no 10,000 people limit as to how we address this. More of our focus is just putting infrastructure, keeping it up and running. The budget before you is,
So, I got a question quick on
Sure.
that. So what, is there some kind of key thing that 10,000 makes a difference? We're at what, 9,100, 9,200 right now?
92. Yeah.
that's what we were asked to do by the administration.
No, I'm just saying, that's
we-
just the next step, that's not any key.
But in your state funding, any of that stuff, it's not like you
No,
hit
it
another
doesn't.
level.
Not for
this
DPW.
department, for other departments, yes.
Okay.
Not for public works.
So at 20,000, you'd be okay.
Well, I guess that's my
12.
point, whether it's
12.
9,000 or 10 or 11, you've got more things to do as the population
A
goes
couple
up.
quick things. We currently can't supply water to that many people. Nor can we supply wastewater removal for that many people.
Okay.
And I think if they got up to 20,000, the town would probably have to have a better plan for solid
No, but there's
waste.
gotta be a point over which there's a break point. There's a break, you can do so much here, you reach a limit, and then you need to go to the next step. And what are those
Right,
steps?
Exactly.
Somewhere between 12 and 15 or something.
It's all, for purposes of this budget, this is the tax levy budget. It comes down to miles of road and how
Yeah.
much road we have to take care of and how much we spend. Again, on, the key here is capital improvements. Chapter 90 doesn't cover all the capital improvements we have to make, doesn't pay for things like sidewalks necessarily. And as those begin to deteriorate, that's where and they get used that much more because of increased traffic, those are the type of things we have to address. So not so much on the maintenance side. Obviously, the more miles of road we get through development, we're gonna need more people to take care of them.
Right.
I can't give you a breaking point per se, but if I were to spend money wisely, I would put it into capital expenditures.
So do you have is there a point in time, do you know when you're going to be experiencing more demand on your services? I mean, like, looking 2 years out, you expect at 9,200 people now, at 2 years down, you're at 12. Is that a point where you now go over this, over a budget? Do you exceed a particular request? You see what I'm trying to get to?
No, I don't know. I don't know if I could put it in those terms.
Well, and you may not be, and that's what we're talking about from a metric perspective. At some point in time, is there, when do you exceed, when does your demand exceeded by whatever the town puts on you? Is there
Last year,
5 years ago.
From
Well,
the,
5
from the-
years ago.
from the perspective
Yeah.
of,
If I can try to step in too, particularly with this department, we're down 4 staff members than we were pre-recession levels. We didn't lay anyone off, but as people retired or found new
didn't
jobs, we
replace
didn't
them.
replace them.
okay,
So the big question is, well, how many people have you laid off? We haven't, but we haven't hired anyone either. So we now have 12, 15 people running all our road work, our machinery maintenance, our cemeteries, our lawn care, and so that number 405 was closer to 2022.
okay.
So we've had a lot of attrition that way. I get you're saying at what point do we hit a population where we just can't offer the services
Right,
anymore?
right. And do we know that? Do we have a point out
Well,
there that
and
says?
We're already
you said
there.
it- you
Yeah.
said
We're
it
already
right.
there, we've
Yeah,
gone
we're
by
there.
it.
All right, so that's the point.
Yeah.
Right.
This won't,
This one, yeah, but the key number, the thing you asked here is the metric.
yeah,
And the metric for this work isn't population. It's miles of roadway,
Okay.
miles
Right.
of pipe.
and
And one more metric that's critical is the rate at which they fail.
okay,
We had a culvert fail over off of Turkey Hill. We had to use operating budget to replace that. It's a capital item.
right,
It was a $10,000-$20,000 repair.
Mhm.
It's that kind of thing.
right.
Now, is there a master list of all the culverts that had to be replaced? No. We have to develop all that.
So
It
I
doesn't
guess,
exist yet.
so I guess my concern is,
Have I answered your question?
yeah,
though?
no, I think you have,
It's just the metric isn't population driven.
right, and I guess I'm not looking at population growth, but on demand. However, whatever, you have to do certain things based upon what the requirement is.
Oh,
If
sure.
something fails, that means you have to go do something. You got a lot of potholes, you gotta go fill them up. So, is there do we have anything that says that we can accommodate, with this, a certain size thing? Service, let's call it service.
Emergency repair.
Right, and after
you have-
that, now you have to come in and you have to say, hat in hand, and say, I need another 20, 50 grand. You know what I mean? You
We
see
got
what I'm getting
25
to?
that we can give him, and that's it.
Yeah. You see what
I
I'm
think
saying?
he's already
I'm
saying
just-
it's not there.
It isn't
Yeah.
there.
It's just
well,
not there
that-
now.
but that's the point. Are we going ahead to look at something that isn't gonna serve the need? I mean, is that something the selectmen would know, would wanna know? That, Jesus,
They,
this
they,
is,
already,
this,
they already know that
They
they
already
already
know that
know.
we're
Our budgets, what we really are filling a partial need at this point
Yeah.
with these budgets, with all
With
of
all
these
the
budgets.
budgets.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just,
partial need.
that's it.
This
We're
has been
still
the way
playing
it's
catch
been.
up.
It's, we don't have the money to actually give to the DPW and say, okay, this is the right number that you really need.
We have a gift account if you want to donate.
But that's the problem, and I get what you're saying.
No, I understand
But
completely
there
what you're
isn't
saying,
really
yeah.
a number that he can tell us, because he's not gonna get it. You wanted his grand list of an actual budget that he really needs.
My
Right?
I guess my concern is that whatever the town meeting finally approves is enough to do the job that he's gonna be asked to do. Or if at some point,
It's not.
It's
Then
probably
I-
not gonna be.
Well, actually,
we-
that's an excellent segue, and here's why.
that's what I'm here for.
The only thing you can really deficit spend is snow and ice.
Yeah.
Historically, and back to your 3 to 5 years of historical data,
Yeah,
the
150.
only thing that snow and ice has been overspent on is purchase of salt and sand. And I tried to explain that in both the memo and in the budget reflects that. It's a lot more, it's fuel, it's overtime. I mean, probably 60% of all DPW overtime goes to snow operations. But equipment repairs. Half of all machinery or mechanic time spent repairing equipment is snow related.
Hmm.
So the budget doesn't historically accurately reflect that. The only thing that we've deficit spent has been on purchase of salt and sand. So when I rewrote this budget, I asked that we carry a certain amount of fuel, overtime, mechanics time in the snow budget.
Related to the snow?
Yeah.
Renewable, yeah.
Okay.
Snow and
Well, I
ice.
mean, that makes sense.
Well, but it makes sense, but yeah, it's there, but then that hurts us on the other end when we have free cash and we gotta pay for that at the other end, so then that gives us less to spend on something else. So,
It may give you
you're
less-
still paying for it one place or the other. I understand what you're saying, 100%.
But his budget's more accurate as far
Oh,
as
I don't
where it corrects.
disagree with that, I don't disagree with that.
You do. If you get a bad enough winter, yeah.
Right.
You're actually gonna put
Absolutely
yourself in
right.
the hole.
Absolutely.
But my other concern is mostly with equipment repair, and I made if I didn't do a good job explaining it in the memo, we have an older fleet for snow removal, and sometimes we have to play catch up with snow. So if you had 2 or 3 snow plows, for just as an example, break in April, and you put them on the fence, and then you go, because you've now run out of machinery maintenance money, because you can't overspend that. The only thing you could overspend was your salt and sand. You're making repairs to those trucks after July 1, which means if your machinery maintenance dollar is, say, $100, you're going to go and spend $25 or $30 to put those trucks back together to be ready for the following winter.
Correct.
That's
You're already behind.
a structural,
Exactly.
but
That's right.
that's a structural deficit,
Yeah.
and you
Correct.
can't do that.
Yeah, that's what DOR came after us on water sewer this past year about.
So that's why I wanted to carry some stuff for that.
Yep.
Okay.
I hope that answers.
I guess my
Yes.
point is,
Yeah.
the money's there, we gotta pay for it somewhere in the overall budget, it's someplace.
Oh, sure.
We just
I
put
didn't-
numbers in different
I
places, and we
really-
still gotta pay for it.
I didn't increase a lot anywhere.
No,
I
I
just
understand.
asked to
That's
carry.
fine.
Just floated
Yep.
a difference.
Yes.
Yep,
I did.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep, change in different spots.
Yep.
So if you get that really bad winter, you have the ability to recover. That's all. We ran some quick numbers on this recent. Does everyone know the ice storm we had this week?
Oh, yeah.
And believe it or not, roads in town were impassable for probably.
Was that just a couple of days ago?
It
Just a
was
couple days ago.
insane.
Yeah.
I pulled out of a friend's driveway, said, "Oh my God, I'm never gonna make it home," and a sand truck came by. It was right in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, God."
Well, that was the only truck
It
running.
was-
That's right.
I mean,
No, I
almost
wanna
opened my
give you
mouth.
some
That was awesome.
We ran some numbers, just so we tried to come up with an estimate. So we sanded the entire town twice, once around 6:30, and then again at 4 o'clock in the morning the following day, so people could get to work. How much did we spend?
Too much.
$10.
No, seriously, how much did we spend?
I have no clue.
You used up,
4,000.
you used up all the sand because you said it only does it twice.
We spent about $8,000,
Wow.
just for that one little ice storm. There's no snow here, we didn't plow anything,
Right.
we spent about $8,000.
But you might have saved a life.
That, I have no problem spending it, I just
Just to
try
give
and
you an
get-
example why the ice and
Yeah.
snow budget's out of money.
Yeah.
At the
Right.
time.
Yeah, you look
$8,000
at it-
on one little peeny ass storm.
Yeah, people don't think you're getting snow, so you don't
They-
need it, but it's
but
the
just-
ice, it's
Yeah.
that, it's
be-
everything.
my only point was just to be cognizant of it.
Yeah,
But that is a good point that Karen brought up that we mentioned last week. So our salt and sand mixture is 3 to 1.
Our current mixture is 2 parts sand, 1 part salt.
Yeah. So that gets mixed together, and we have enough to treat the town entire
3 to 4 times on hand.
total.
Because
So
I thought it was
one day-
twice for the sand and twice for the salt, so
Yeah.
that's.
But you don't have just salt, you do just a mixture, right?
We do
Yeah.
the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
we
are
need-
some storm,
Yeah.
in all truthfulness, there are a couple storm events for certain roads where we'll run straight salt. Typically Route 68,
Oh, yeah.
because of you need to get that black because the speeds are kind of high. Also portions of 56 and sometimes Pleasant Town.
Yeah. If we were to
But
go
not
straight
side
east,
streets. It's more, I have the prices for what we're spending on salt versus sand. I can get them to you.
yeah. If we
Salt's
if
a
we
lot more
were to-
expensive.
I know, Doc.
Yeah, if we were to do straight salt, straight sand, those would be the numbers, and that's how we get around it, is we mix it together before we go out.
But at the same time, Rutland doesn't have the kind of vehicle traffic to warrant that much salt either.
Do you mix your own or you buy a pre-mix?
We mix our own. So back to the budget. Where would you like to start? Do you want to go section by section?
Is there somewhere where there is a total DPW budget figure?
I can get it to you.
Okay.
That's my spreadsheet. It'd take me about
It's
a
in
couple
here,
minutes.
isn't it?
Well, it's broken out into different, so
Oh,
like
yeah.
highway admin, highway construction, so on.
I can get it for you. I can probably get it before we go home.
And that goes with that as well, too.
all right, so do you wanna start right with the,
No, Ted, are you saying a total of all these numbers rather than in sections? Is that what you're saying?
It's my recollection at the town meeting every year that we
Need a total?
get told usually that this department has asked for an increase of X amount, which is Y percentage amount. And I just didn't know if that was,
Ah, okay.
because
No, we can
I'm
give
not
you that.
I see
seeing
what
it
you're
here.
saying, yep, okay.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Because these are by section, these are
Right.
by areas, okay.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
can tell
have
you
to
one of
tell
the
the
reasons
bottom.
why the board changed Joe's job title from superintendent to director was because he oversees multiple different sub-departments, and that's why it's broken out into those sub-departments in the budget. But, yeah, we can get you that number for sure, that way you can see the total in the end.
It's 5 minutes. It's easy. Spreadsheet's on my desk, I just gotta walk over there again.
So we want to start with the community hall purchase?
Yeah,
work
community
our
hall
way right
purchase
down.
services, yep, we can go right down.
Okay. Did you increase these by a certain percentage over last year? Ish?
Yeah, ish. I didn't increase them across the board. I looked at the spending for the whole year previous and then the half year and made some adjustments. Rarely did I go more than a percentage.
Okay.
But I also want to point out that unlike previous budgets, we're actually carrying the wages that are spent doing this work. So.
Kind of split those, okay.
Well, that's nice to see, because truthfully, now we can see what it costs to keep up our building.
Well, that's the whole point. So
Thank you.
that number is, there's 2 full-time staffers who clean town buildings, and then we have 1 person who's dedicated roughly a quarter of his time to repairs. Stupid stuff, doors, lights, painting.
So is that, you're saying that's what highway wages is, those positions?
Those highway wages that are listed there are actually
Those people,
yes.
okay.
And they're in that other spreadsheet, and that's their current, because we have a contract uptick.
Yes.
So that's the new contract rate.
Okay.
Those in the Chromebooks, if you see payroll on the bottom of your screen and you click on the word payroll, you'll see the breakdown of the wages.
So I'm looking at this, which I think is that,
Let me see, mine.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's the same
I
thing.
can't see 2020.
Okay, so this is 7/1/18 to 6/30/19. This is 7/1/19 to 1/2.
It's killing me looking
Right,
at it.
so
Took you a
where,
brownie. I got-
there's
I
a
got-
number there,
there's,
222,
Yep.
641.
Yep.
Where's that
This-
number from
no,
last
no,
year?
lift up your stuff.
this one,
stuff.
204.
I'll grab that.
204.
Yeah, who's it
What-
with?
Who's he with?
So
And what I-
83 is just a line out of
Yeah, I want
204.
my comfort page.
Historically, they
Who else
didn't,
wants one?
they didn't include the wages when they
Am I
did
the
the
only
estimate
one who
out
can't
for the
stand looking?
department. They just did a lump sum of wages. So,
Why?
so that I got a better picture of what we were actually spending on buildings or what we're spending on highway, I started including the wages. So that's the wage number, or how much we've spent paying staff.
So if I went down here, that 387 last
Yeah,
year
I
was
d-
324.
Right.
Okay. All right, I think I got that right.
All right,
Now, how come library is not in up here?
we don't pay for that. That's separate and distinct.
Yes. That's in the library's budget itself.
Because they were separate entities.
Most of
Separate
this,
budget.
most
Separate.
of this is lights, fuel, stuff like that.
But that question that Ted's, the first column is 2000, fiscal 19, and the next big block is fiscal 20.
Yes.
Right.
And this is proposed for 2021 over there.
Yep.
Right.
Any public building questions?
Yeah, so it's 80, you got highway wages is 83, 144, 16. So what's the 204, 836, 32?
That's the total.
of all that other stuff, all this.
That's how much we've spent. So this line here is the total, so it's all this plus that.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, for FY 20.
For FY 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry if it's confusing.
Well, no, if you know which ones go, which ones not.
Yeah.
It looks good.
So the increase in wages from 83,144 to 95 is
Mostly union,
insurance and increases of,
mostly union.
okay.
Yeah.
Step increases and
Yep.
And, yeah.
So where's the public safety building supplies? Is that the fuel now, or is that?
Yep.
Okay. And where's yours?
I apologize, it was much easier when it was on the screen.
So we've got public safety, building, purchase services,
Yep,
and we've got public safety, building supplies.
right.
How does that split up? What is in which?
What is
One's 22 and one's 42.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying what makes up those line items?
What is in that line item? Is it fuel for one of them, or is it
Right.
some building supplies for the other? I'm-
Yeah, that's either supplies for the building or fuel,
Or fuel?
right,
Okay.
or electricity.
Okay.
Purchase services would be, trying to break, I didn't bring that breakdown, but I can get it for you, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I'm just trying to, just so we have an understanding of
no, I
what's where,
understand.
that's all.
I think the 40, the bigger, the 40-something thousand one is probably more electricity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep,
And the other one is probably fuel,
Yeah.
and maybe some other supplies.
Yeah. Yeah, small stuff.
I'm sorry, what does,
Toilet
highway
paper,
wages, okay, sorry.
toilet paper, cleaning supplies,
Yeah.
things like that.
Okay.
I can't see.
All right, so you want to move down to the
you have an
highway
extra Chromebook?
administration? It's the next section.
I was gonna say, you want mine?
I can't see it, I'm sorry.
Somewhere on highway.
Want some glasses?
I got them in my office, I'm not used to.
The computers in the office. glasses in the
Yes,
office.
everything you need, all right. So highway administration is not gonna look anything like it looked previous, and that's why that big chunk that's grayed out in the middle. Basically, you had all of the highway wages carried in that block, and I moved it to a bunch of different items. So that it's very hard to compare it, but the increases aren't that significant.
When you say you moved them within?
Within
the
DPW.
Highway administration, or moved them?
DPW entire.
Entire, okay.
So that's where you get the wages that are now in each little subcategory here,
Okay,
were
okay.
originally all one lump sum here.
Okay,
In all frankness, I was really concerned when you looked at the original highway budget. It shows that we have maybe 10 people or 15 people, and you think they all go to roads, and they really don't.
Yeah.
2 of them are full-time mechanics, 2 of them are full-time building cleaning staff. It's really not, when you break it all down and see where the highway people are, they're not all out on the roads.
and
Because it's
that's
good
what's reflected.
That's what's reflected.
Correct.
Again, I'm sorry if it's a little confusing.
Question I had before, and this is highway overtime and I assume that's overtime and
Yep.
standby. Pretty substantial numbers there. So the fact that we have not replaced people as they leave, would it sometimes make more sense to hire somebody then? I mean, we're paying all that in overtime, or because of all different skill sets, I'm not sure why.
Historically, most of the overtime goes to snow, and if you had had extra people, I think you'd still have the same amount of overtime.
Because it's just certain
Yeah.
certain
It's just the
time of
hours it
year.
comes, yep.
So,
Okay.
but it's an interesting question, because where you're saying you have so many attrits and you have so many vacancies now. Have we planned to replace those people in these numbers?
No, we have not.
We have not. So effectively, we don't have those resources anymore,
We don't.
okay?
Is anybody
Well, we'll
scheduled to
probably
leave?
end up, I'm sorry?
Anybody leaving? Anyone else?
No, but where we're weaker is water and sewer. We'll probably increase where we put people in water and sewer.
That goes back to your original question about having people to do what needs to be done.
Right.
Right.
We don't fill those positions,
Right.
we really need them there to do whatever that level of services
If
is.
Exactly.
one or two of them get sick.
Make a
Yeah.
donation, we'll hire them.
I mean,
That's right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's right now.
so where we're at right now
The
is.
school has no problem putting people on the sick payroll, why can't we?
Yeah.
Don't encourage.
I know. I think it's funny.
No, it's a good question. And to answer your question, we do have plans to hire additional water staff, and we want to increase that. Like right now, our sewer department consists of one person's time is 30%, another person's time is like quarter of their time.
Why can't we put those people on highway and just use them over there?
He's on water and
All right.
sewer, that's why he says that.
He wasn't even gonna be here. He was gonna go to that
I was
meeting.
gonna do that.
So my point is, this currently our sewer department doesn't have any full-time staff.
No, I understand, we used to have 2 people there.
And so ultimately, we'll probably
Right.
increase those hours.
Not that I want the bills to go up anymore.
So when people leave,
the only
And the
reason
plan-
it's on
I've only been
committee is
here
just to
since
remind
for a
you
year.
that-
So it's not your fault.
No, I may not have as good a history as you.
No, I have no history.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is, as a matter of policy, when somebody leaves, is it the expectation that that position would be filled?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying
That's
is that's
going
happened in the plan. They've left, and they haven't been filled. So is it a part of, it's a policy now that no matter if we have somebody leave, that will create a requisition to replace that person.
Yes.
Got it.
At this point, he's understaffed, so he has to replace him.
Yeah.
He can't be understaffed
It would have to
anymore.
be.
Carol, to go back to your question there, I think that also goes back to what Joe was saying, where how a lot of our overtime is snow and ice, but it was never accounted for snow and ice. So
It's
if we
just
didn't budget
general
for it,
overtime.
we didn't have it. So we had to bump it up. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it in the end of the year.
Makes
Joe,
sense.
can I ask a question about
Absolutely.
highway admin? That's the section we're looking at.
Yep.
So if I read this correctly, the number this year is 387, and the number last year was 324. Is that right?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay, but am I correct in understanding that
It's not a good metric.
95 was taken out of that and put into the section above public buildings maintenance?
Right. When you looked at it before, you just saw one lump sum of highway wages. And what I did was I applied it to what we're actually doing. So I didn't, there's no increase in staff, the only increases that we have in the budget overall are the union obligations for the new contract and the benefits which haven't been done yet. I just moved them around, where they're actually working.
So, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
No, it's okay.
That number that went from 324 to 387, I'm assuming that's, again, step increases in
Yes.
salary changes. But that number really went up an additional 95 that got pushed into the section up above.
For this,
It might be easier to look at the other chart. Where's the payroll one right there? Does he have a tab for that?
payroll
Yeah.
tab, yeah.
Okay.
Down the bottom.
I mean, part of what I'm trying to do is just think of the questions
the
people
hell?
are gonna ask at town meeting when they have that in front of them.
No, we can make
Yeah.
it easier for him.
Okay.
Well, it does look like the budget went up by 60,000 there, another 83,000 there.
But it hasn't, we just.
No,
moved
I
it-
understand, but
yeah.
I'm just saying, if you
How to get it
try to
to-
put those numbers together, that's what I'm looking at. It does look like everything jumped up by quite a bit,
But they haven't.
but they haven't,
Yeah, and we'll just make
what
that
you're saying.
clear.
Right.
Yeah, that total number you were asking about earlier might be the easiest way. This is the
Exactly.
total.
If
this
you
one.
just
Last
add
year's
up
is the
just the
total this year,
wages,
so-
it's 530,149 approximately.
Yeah.
That's what it's total, so that's why I was looking to see what we, because all of them, that's what it, no overtime was included in that.
Yeah.
Would it be easier, I mean, this is the total.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be easier to, instead of trying to break it, or have another display, instead of trying to break it down by the departments here,
Okay.
just to be able to have a display by the categories so that you can measure year after year? So all the wages, all the supplies, all the purchases, et cetera. And you, for those, because you're moving things around, it makes it hard to be able to compare.
Okay.
But if you were able to look at all the supplies, or all the wages, and you could see from this year to next year, it went up 2% in total.
We can do that. That we can do for the town meeting.
Yeah, but that
that's
goes
what-
back to what Karen was asking earlier. If this was compared to here's the old budget, here's the new one, these are zeros,
It's on your.
here, and this was last year, and then here, broom, all this comes down to these total
And
amounts,
you
then
left
you would
the
compare
money
them
where it
all.
was last year.
Then you'd know
Okay.
right where you're at.
Is that something you think the town meeting, the folks in town meeting?
Well, that's gonna have to be
We're
for the
gonna give them
budget.
this. That's all we give them. If we give them all
Right.
this, we'll never
but-
get out of there.
But somebody's gonna ask the question, Joel,
Well,
Yeah, but
what
if
does
you.
this look like?
Yeah,
And
but if you look on it here, you'll see it. That's,
Right.
because you can see it here. If you look on Mike's summary, you'll see it. you can see. I was just looking at.
But see, okay, so
Three
you,
and four.
you're starting to prove the point. If we just had something that said what he did last year, or however you wanted it to be displayed.
If we don't give that, we give them that.
We give
don't,
them-
they
Oh,
don't,
no,
they're
I-
never gonna get this.
I understand that, but somebody's gonna stand up and ask the question. I
They won't,
think,
because they don't see it.
But the
They're only gonna
budget's
see
gonna be
that.
the total amount. Last year's and here's this one, goes back on all these numbers,
Oh.
but here's the two
Yeah.
numbers.
okay,
They don't go down like, what was
Right.
your budget for wages or cleaning the community, they're not, they look at the total
We see the
number.
line items.
You're gonna have
They're not
just
going to.
wages, purchase services and supplies and then look
okay.
total.
That's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. That's what I
Right.
was saying.
Townwide.
Yeah, we can
The
give it.
vote
Oh,
said
townwide.
Townwide, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
for each department, so yeah. But for us to compare it, we need those bottom
Oh, no,
numbers.
no,
but
I'm not
to put-
disputing
right,
that. I think you're absolutely right.
Correct.
I think we need the details to be able to understand it.
Correct.
Yeah, be-
But I think it's really well, the basics, to boil it down, the basics are, you need to move more items under snow. There's a couple of things I have concerned. I suggested you hire some part-time help to cut some lawns, because we're spending an awful lot of money cutting lawns.
right now, we have a full-time, a person who starts in April-ish.
He gets on a lawnmower in April and gets off in November.
I see him driving around every morning.
That's
I see him
the
every
only
morning too.
job that person does
Yeah.
during
Really?
that period is he gets on a lawnmower every day in the cemeteries and then gets off, and that's all we pay them for is to.
There's benefits to this job.
Well, not just the cemetery, but the school,
I
the
just wanna know.
schoolyards, the
Yeah.
town
There
commons,
are,
all those
yeah.
stuff, whole bunch of
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every day.
he's there
I
every
can be
day.
unemployed if this
Yeah.
Well, except for he's on vacation,
Yeah.
Then we send someone else.
someone else.
Yes.
Joe does.
But yes, it is.
Joe hops on.
I
No, I
the
do
long
not.
one. So much better.
But like we suggested, hiring some summer help to do that, because we're paying him an awful lot of money.
Versus a benefited employee.
Yes.
It's a summer intern.
Makes sense.
Sense.
Yep.
I mean, we spent what, $14,000
Yes.
on labor, just cutting lawns? I mean, he's a skilled operator, he could be doing something else. It's not the best use of his time.
Did you tell him he's losing this?
I'm sorry?
He might be bummed out that he's gonna lose that.
I don't know.
Tell them to work in the winter instead on snow and ice.
Okay, what's the next section down then? Let's try to keep
Highway
moving.
construction and maintenance.
Highway construction and maintenance.
Slight increase.
Yeah, not much, mostly for just materials, gravel, stuff like that.
You want to talk about the intern?
For
Stormwater.
stormwater intern? Yeah. That's just to do engineering work to help us comply with stormwater management regulations.
We
The
received
paperwork.
a consent order
No,
from.
Go ahead.
We received a consent order from EPA,
EPA.
the federal government, informing us that we were out of compliance with our stormwater management requirements that they issued to us for our MS4 permit, saying that we need to pass 3 new bylaws by June 30th, or they will fine us because we are out of compliance.
Oh, aren't they nice?
So this is an effort to make sure that we are compliant with that, as having, again, an intern from a school. And where you need engineering work, it's better to have a collegiate student than a high school person, so that's why.
So this is engineering work. The
Well, I mean, it's
It's
field work.
calculations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a formal engineer.
No, but it's not somebody out trying to
They're
dig a
not
ditch to
shoveling,
move
no,
the
no.
water and.
No.
Okay.
It's figuring out where to dig those ditches to
Okay.
move the
They get-
stormwater.
A lot of the stormwater compliance that the Fed has pushed really hard is they're worried about houses tied into backwards. That seems to be a big push with them. So if you flush and it goes to a brook or a stream, that's a big push in stormwater management.
Good.
Oh, that's not allowed?
Yeah,
No, that's not allowed.
Oh.
that's
Maybe
happening.
change
The
your
question
pipes.
is, it's happening?
It does happen.
I just
It
see
may-
new
hopefully it
builders
doesn't
doing
happen.
it.
Hopefully it doesn't happen in Rutland, but
Okay.
it does happen. So that's a big push. They want to make sure that all the sewers are tied into sewers.
And by that, they also probably looking at a lot of old houses with dry wells with washing machines that are definitely going in, a lot of them.
A lot of
Look
the
at yours
stuff,
first.
some other stuff they're hot on is construction management. In other words, silt and runoff. They're really hot on that to make sure that you don't have a lot of silt-laden water going to a stream. You're trying to recharge to the groundwater. A lot of it's that.
Okay.
But I will tell you that stormwater compliance is an unfunded mandate.
What else
And
is
it's a
it?
Yeah.
What else is
federal
new?
regulation, so.
I have just one quick question on that. We're talking about obviously town, highway and whatnot.
Mhm.
Is there any part of your responsibility or things we need to do for the state as far as individuals to make sure that, you know, some of the older homes, like you mentioned, you know, some, I could give you a list right now, that, you know, their sewers are done, they're gone, they don't work anymore, and I know where the water's going. Is there anything, that is mandated or a way to get around that this waste is going
You're
into
talking
places it
about on
shouldn't go?
personal property?
Yeah.
Huh?
You're
Yeah,
talking about on
personal
personal
property.
property?
Failed
Yes.
septic?
Huh?
No,
Failed septic, yeah.
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 Houses that are 60 years old and,
Probably only if it went into a catch basin that you happen to
Well,
have
no,
control of.
it's a public health issue.
well, it's going into ponds. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the ones
no,
I'm
Yeah, but
talking
how do you
about,
know?
there's gotta been lots others.
So you know
Well,
that something like that's
I don't know a
happening?
specific one, but
Right.
I know,
It-
yes.
I mean, it's likely that's happening, but
Yes.
isn't the only way that gets checked at the sale of the property? Entitled
Well, no,
property?
if somebody complains, the Board of Health would have to go
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody would have to complain. That's
Correct.
not your responsibility or
Not
ours
highway.
as a town
No,
to
no.
go to find an individual unless somebody makes a complaint.
If we have a sewer manhole that's always, because it's blocked and it's bubbling sewage and
Well,
that's
that's-
going into a pond, that's obviously me.
Private sewer has nothing to do with him.
Okay,
Right.
okay, that was my question.
Except when it explodes on the roads, and then it's his
Then it would be.
responsibility.
Or
Yeah.
through
Or if it's
yards.
running
We
in
have
his
sewers
catch
that run through
basin, then he'd be
yards.
the one that complains.
Right. I mean, sewers do go run through backyards and through.
Oh,
the woods
no,
and
I meant the
places.
private ones that we have in town. I know not you. Don't worry, I know it's not you.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes,
So-
yes, absolutely, thank you.
So which reminds me, another question is, over the years, we meaning the town, spent a lot of money on examining sewer lines, inflow, et cetera. What have we followed up on all those reports we've had in the past year? I mean, I know you have only been here for a short while, but I'm not saying that, but do we know, are we doing anything for some of these old reports, or have they all been completed, or have we followed up on any of those, do you know, does the
The
town?
majority of the stuff the town has followed up on. There are some outstanding repairs that we've planned for, but I can tell you, II is priority one.
I mean, I know the trucks have, the companies have been contracted to do some of the repairs have been in town over lot of streets, but I know there was a lot of camera work done, there was a lot of vehicles. I remember sitting, matter of fact, right in this room and up at the selectmen's room, looking at some of the stuff that the DPW had presented and said, we gotta fix all these things, and,
We've fixed quite a bit.
okay.
I don't think we're done yet by any means, but I can tell you, inflow and infiltration removal is priority one.
Okay,
Is it a lot of it state sewer lines?
Yeah, but that cost gets passed on to us.
Right.
So
It
even
still
if they
is,
did
yeah.
fix it, we'd end up paying for it, and that's.
But we can't, what I'm saying is, we
charge you a
can't
higher
fix
rate.
it.
We're gonna try.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, the trunk lines
I'm sure
are
that's
that,
part
but
of
with the ones
No,
I'm
but-
talking about were these were
No,
town
I know
sewer
about the
lines that
town ones,
were
right.
examined, and they said, okay, they identified a number of
Most of it-
issues and.
The majority of it's been done.
Okay, good.
But again, this goes back to what you were saying earlier. There used to be employees in the sewer to do some of this, not some, maybe some of that work, but to try to rectify some of the problems. And now we're down to, like you said, what,
Half a
half a
person.
person.
Well, we got one guy just mowing lawns.
We
There you
did-
go.
Yeah, he doesn't work for.
All right,
I hope he
next,
doesn't
snow
work
and
for the
ice.
sewer.
That's the most important one.
We're here to ask questions.
Ask as many as you want.
No,
Why
I know,
can't-
I understand that. I'm just.
Okay, so historically, snow and ice is, the only items we list are snow and ice supplies,
Salt and sand.
salt and sand, and I added several categories to snow and ice.
Plus
I-
$4,000 to the number, we've always done 150 every year.
Right,
That's the only number that ever stayed the same.
do you wanna, okay.
Relax, I'm giving you a hard time, I
No.
don't care.
Can you
Give me a
make
hard
that
time.
150 and make the 1014 just to keep her quiet?
Now, it's all gonna keep me quiet.
It's okay. I would strongly suggest you consider adding these additional items to
gosh,
snow
yeah.
and ice.
So you're basically
that.
what you're saying is 150, in the proposed budget, it's 164 for those two items that used to be in there. And that number is now going to 377
Yep.
from 164.
But I just wanna call out, the DPW overtime
Yeah.
has maybe gone up I don't know, a couple $1,000s. And all we did was move a large percentage of it into
this
snow.
category, yeah.
Fuel, we didn't increase fuel at all. We just moved, and I left some notes here. We listed $20,000 in fuel money under snow, instead of having one generic $75,000 fuel budget. We just moved 20,000.
Sure.
You're creating an account that really needs to be created, should have been created years ago. Because it's what you're doing, you're letting people see where the money's really spent.
Right, that's what I was trying to do.
What you gonna say, Mike?
I keep hearing numbers that I don't see. I see it
Oh,
going
yeah, I
from
see.
20,000 to 377,000, and that's
All right,
a
so
giant jump.
There's some notes here on the side. So if you go here, so I
Yeah,
can
we
see
gotta come over to that.
what the.
But as I said
Where
earlier,
I moved
that could
money.
be,
Okay.
and this may be
So
a
this
clearer
was
number, but then that's
84,000,
gonna
it's now
affect us on the
75.
other
I
side
moved
when we have
it.
free cash to spend.
There's no
Not
question.
spent.
No
Correct.
question.
So it's nice to say, yeah, we can
See how
spend
it's
this because we
described.
can spend it
Okay.
there, but
So a lot of these are new that didn't
weren't there.
exist.
They weren't in
the
that
line
category.
Right.
Correct.
before.
So if we had, and I forgot, if we had, say $75,000 in fuel, I said, okay, take that, take 20,000 of it, list it under snow, and then the fuel for overall, it's the same number, I just moved it.
That's why, at least for me and what I think they're gonna want at town meeting, is
Something
that overall
squished,
number
yeah.
that says
We'll
we're
squish
going
it down.
from
X to Y.
X to Y,
Right.
and what is that
Yeah.
amount increase?
Yeah, they will see a percentage increase
Yeah.
at town.
Yeah.
Town meeting, they will have that.
Not a lot.
Yeah, they get this,
Yeah,
on this
well,
one, there's always a percentage.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just not seeing that on this right now.
You know that big sheet will have.
It's on
all
the
that
big
for
sheet.
'em.
Yeah.
The one that Mike does, there's always a percentage on that one.
Yes.
Is there now?
No,
Okay.
next.
All right.
Streetlights looks good. I think we can agree on that one, maybe.
Streetlights has gone down.
That's good.
Mostly, that's an estimated number. We should have all of the updates done hopefully around July.
Are they all LED now?
Yeah, they're LED.
Get the one on Maple Avenue, it keeps flickering out. Wakes me up.
They put that one in special for you, huh?
You know it's a
that
long.
cost us extra, I gave him extra money for that one, Tommy.
That was a donation.
We didn't have to pay for any of those upgrades.
Oh, nice.
We just had to agree to let them work on their schedule. Some downsides, they were really hot on us taking over the lights. And so if we had taken over the lights in their current state, they're worthless because they're fully depreciated, so we could buy them for cheap money. But then you'd have to still hire somebody to upgrade them all, and then you'd be in the light business. I didn't want that. So if you were willing to work with them,
Yeah.
they'll do the upgrade with their own staff. The thing is, they use like emergency staff out of Worcester, so it's taken them a while to get it done, but
okay.
it's getting done. And we don't have, if they break, we call National Grid, so
Perfect.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, keep that up.
Tom, get the number of that light.
I'm gonna get
Just
that.
call-
I'm
just
surprised.
call them direct.
It should be flickering off your house too.
Doesn't bother me, I'm in the back side of the
The
house.
next pole down has an LED light, that one
Call
doesn't.
Tanner, he'll take care.
We don't have to worry about that because we don't have
That's
lights in
right.
front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
qualified
Oh, God, I
to work
got a
on
water
We don't
machine.
streetlights?
have
I got a
any
light
company
that's out.
that's down there.
Where are you?
Campbell Street, 143.
No, not Campbell. We
No.
probably had a couple on 68.
Yeah,
though.
David and I were talking.
No,
about it.
he's at the swamp that eats all the cars.
Yeah.
That's the turn right
You
there.
can have a light there.
He's right there.
There's no lights. There's no nothing there.
You want a light?
No.
No,
You
he,
want a light?
no, he wants salt.
Campbell Street, we're gonna donate Campbell Street to Hubbardston.
Okay, town garage purchase services.
Most of it's fuel. I'm sorry. I lost my place. Town garage. I didn't really do a lot of increases there.
It's got to just repair stuff.
Yeah. All right, next. Machinery maintenance purchase services.
So you took stuff out of here and put it into snow?
That's all I did.
Yep.
And then moved wages into this.
Right. A portion of the
Yeah.
machinery.
Bushel is
Yeah.
what he's
Yep.
getting picked up.
We have 2 full-time mechanics, and when you do the math out, roughly half of their time is spent doing snow.
So if we bought all new equipment, you wouldn't need them.
I don't know if I go
I'm
that
just
far.
Town vehicle fuel.
Is that just DPW fuel, or is that all?
That's
town?
everything.
That's every single town
Yeah.
vehicle?
Yep.
That's
We don't
police,
charge that out?
cruisers, all that stuff.
I don't think so.
No, it all comes out of this one budget.
Police,
Land,
police
yeah.
and fire?
We used to, but then it came under one thing.
I just was curious.
No, I'm just saying, it used to, but
Yeah, that's why again we rather than having one massive DPW budget, it's considered its own budget, is because everyone uses it.
And you know who
Can you
uses
follow
what?
what I did with the fuel? Yes, we do.
Okay. Thanks. I figured, but
Yeah.
Well-
No, we'll use this for police, fire,
Right.
DPW.
I don't see 84.5
Water sewer.
minus 10 being 75, but I think I got it.
Well,
The
No, if it 84.5 was 85, I took 10 and put it up on the snow.
It doesn't equal out here though because he increased somewhere else.
Yeah, okay.
That's all.
That's all.
if someone's like our inspectors in for health and building, they'll drive themselves and just put in their mileage reimbursement for the town's policy.
yep.
So this is just
Because they don't have a town vehicle.
Correct.
Okay.
so the only risk that I see in putting all of one kind of thing into one area is if that one area needs to cut, then, you know, you may be impacting other areas.
Correct.
You might say, let's take it out of the fuel here, and that means there's no fuel for the police cruisers,
Correct.
ambulance, or something like that.
No, I just carried I carried 10,000. So if the total fuel budget is $85,000,
Right.
I put 10,000 in snow.
Right.
So the DPW trucks will use that 10,000 too.
Okay, and I understand that, but, again, if the mandate is that we have to cut 3.5% across the board,
Sure.
some things in here might be a little easier to cut that might have effect on other areas. If you have a fuel line here, 10,000 in snow, and then other fuel for all the other.
You can cut the snow.
Yeah,
Cut
you-
the snow.
You cut the
Usually we
snow.
don't go in and just say it's a 3.5% mandate. We'll tell him that his budget needs to be cut by 3.5.
Yeah,
If
we
he
need
goes
him
in
to
and-
find it
So
somewhere
then
in
he will
there.
have to find it within his own.
But what,
I know what
in
you're
his
saying.
own,
Yes,
In
he
his
goes,
own budget.
He goes in and
but
fixes it
isn't
up.
all of the fuel in his own budget?
Yes.
But if, that
Right,
is
but
right
if-
now,
what he's
it's
saying
gonna
is if
be
he
his
does cut it-
decision to cut what out of the budget, that 3.5% out of his budget.
Okay, so
It
for
may
co-
not be 3.5% from fuel,
Oh, no, no, no.
3.5% from
No, no,
maintenance.
Yeah, I'm not
Well,
suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that because if we make it so tight,
Mm-hmm.
or if the budget is so tight that it leaves him no other options except to go in and affect something that doesn't really affect him. He's not involved with the police cruisers, but it doesn't affect him. It's not saying that he would do it, but I'm just saying if it doesn't affect them, it might be tempting to be able to just say, I can take out $2,000 out
But that
of it.
number comes out of all the fuel.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
won't
just the
just be out of
cruisers and the
cruisers.
ambulance, it's also all of his equipment
Oh, I
too.
understand that.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, that-
if he
but-
takes out the fuel for the cruises and the
But he
ambulance.
can't.
Why
It's all
not?
one number.
all
well,
one
they
number.
could, but that wouldn't last too long, I don't think.
Well, and I understand that.
It's one
Certainly
fuel
would.
number.
But
It's
here's my
total fuel.
Here's my
I-
thought. Even if I cut the fuel number in the snow budget down to $1,000,
Right.
and I have a particularly bad winter, I can deficit spend
Yes.
Nope.
snow
Yep.
Totally
and
understand.
not be in
Can I-
trouble.
Right.
But if I don't list it, I
you can't
can't.
deficit.
Yep.
What Peter
Yep.
is saying, and I get exactly what he's saying, is if, say, I'm going through the budget when I'm going to make my cuts, and I was like, oh, that's too much in fuel, I'll cut it in half. I'm not just affecting DPW. And he's just
Affecting
calling out-
everybody.
Yeah, I
Right.
know. That's,
Park, yeah.
I said the same thing.
Right.
So
It's
that's
just
all
in a
he's
different
pointing
way.
out is
That's
that
all.
if that happens,
It's a risk, that's all.
Exactly.
Sure.
But I would suggest we could take it out of water and sewer.
No, because then he raised the rates.
Just increase the rates over
Just
there.
bring the
and
rates
bring
down,
them-
at least more, that's fine.
We're so close to the
Okay,
end.
next.
Let's go.
Waste disposal. Nothing.
I did increase
Rubbish.
waste disposal, and most of it has been cleaning up the stuff here in the yard.
Like what?
It needed to be.
Old barrels.
Debris.
Yeah.
I've rented a commercial container twice and filled it completely with debris that needed to be thrown out when we did the parking lot. So we'll probably have a couple extra commercial containers just to clean the stuff up. Because it's not unsightly.
usable.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous at one point. All
I'm
right,
still
next.
gotta figure out what to do with the giant brush pile. But that's
Can't we burn
It's
it?
burn season.
oh, it's not that much. You can't burn that much.
Sure you can.
I
On
don't know, I
fire.
think you probably could. I'm gonna try.
Don't they still have that little stove out in the garage here? That you
No, don't have any stove. All right, so here we go. Where are we?
Forestry.
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 Save on oil. All right.
Are we gonna get a forest this year? I mean,
Hey,
A town forest.
yeah. Maybe we can use the trees that we were gonna plant the last time.
There's this field right down the hill here, it's got lots of room for trees.
so what are we at here?
If you look at the, most of this is wages. I just took and figured out how much we spend, we are part of the cooperative with the 4 or 5 other towns for the forestry truck. And what I did was I basically went to the calendar and figured out when the forestry truck is here and just, took how much we pay people to work on that time. That's where that number comes from.
What does
Perfect.
forestry do exactly?
Cuts trees down on town roads.
You have
Okay.
the bucket truck that
I,
you've seen around.
that's what I thought, but I was like, I better ask just to make sure.
Weren't you also talking, a meeting or two ago about planting trees as well?
We did
Is
because.
that part of, or is
No.
that not ongoing?
No, that didn't get approved.
Yeah, that
The
was kind
trees
of a,
got shot down.
Yeah,
Trees get shot down.
cut down.
Oh, okay.
Cut down,
Um,
they got
okay.
cut down, there you go.
Now,
I'm the
also
Tater
included in here, which wasn't historical,
Louis
if
changed steps.
if you, back to forestry, if you can see where I said I spent $1,000 for hired services, last year I took it out of the highway budget because we had a tree on Pleasantdale we couldn't take down.
How come?
It exceeded the ability of our staff, it was too
Too
big.
wide.
Safety.
there are some trees
Taking little
around
pieces,
town.
take little
No,
pieces out.
that's how they
You
do it.
climb the tree, cut the little
They-
bit. You
they-
climb the tree, you climb
they-
down and cut that.
They do that all the time.
Yeah, that's.
No, but it exceeded the skill set
So
we
what do you
had.
do? Oh, you paid somebody then
Paid
to do
somebody.
that?
Trees
Yeah.
make 'em.
You don't have a choice.
You probably had a
Yeah.
crane or something, right?
So,
Yeah.
they brought in a crane,
Yeah,
right.
you gotta, if it's something.
Like, it was heavily debated at the Board of Selectmen when the folks want to take those trees down on the corner of Central Tree and Main. There's 3 large oak
Mhm.
trees, there, or 4 large oak trees.
Mhm.
They exceed our ability.
Yeah, I get it,
Um,
because I know they're a pain.
And what ended up happening was the board approved removal of the trees provided the homeowner paid for them, because we couldn't do
We
it.
just can't.
Right.
And we had no money put aside. So figure, I don't know, $2,000 a piece.
Yeah.
Not more.
So I listed 2,000 here for emergencies if I have to take a tree
Sure.
down and I don't have the people. That's all
Yep.
it is.
Yeah.
No, makes sense.
Yeah.
At the last, the special town meeting, there was a request and I think an approval for a grinder.
Yep.
Yep,
Um,
stump grinder.
and it's in here,
It's in here.
in where?
No,
Forestry?
No, that was.
We buy it
We
outright.
bought
was
it.
bought
We
out.
buy it
bought
outright.
it.
Okay,
But
No,
the
but-
labor to run
but
it
to
is in
use it,
the
yeah,
forestry.
that was my
Yes,
point.
To
the
use
labor.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
Use
it
it.
should be
Right.
forestry, yeah.
Yeah.
You get to see it when you leave.
Does
I'll
it have a
wait
big
for-
red bow on it?
For Campbell Street, a lot of trees over there, there's still stump.
Better be a lot of paint on it. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
next.
I
Sign that
mentioned,
off to Hubbardston quick, so we don't have to grind them.
I mentioned this earlier, now, if you looked at the budget last year, the person cutting the lawns, their time was all listed in general highway. So I broke out fields, parks and fields, so that I could show how much this person was cutting lawns, and I decided that that wasn't the best use. We'd be better off having that person work on a road someplace than do that, so that's why I asked for some money to hire a part-time person to cut lawns.
So
The other-
parks and fields includes like the town common and all that kind of stuff, although
Right.
it's not truly a park, but that's what you classify. Okay, that's why I just wanna make sure.
Yep.
It's a small field.
It is, I agree. I'm thinking sports fields. That's
We
what I
do
wanna
cut
make sure.
them, we do cut them all season.
How-
The soccer fields, softball fields, baseball fields, we do cut them.
You wanted to make my blood pressure go way up?
Well, actually, it's a different,
Don't worry, you got 2 more to cut because I got 2 more fields going in.
no,
Just kidding.
We don't have to maintain those.
we have the schools contractually, we have to do that.
Yeah, we are contractually obligated to cut the school lawns and fields. Memorial Field we cut. I don't think we cut marsh.
We do not.
No, you don't cut much.
Nor will we be cutting the new soccer fields
fields.
once those go in. But the other fields,
Because I asked that
Yeah,
question.
but
'cause-
the other sports fields are, the majority of them are school fields,
Mhm.
and we have to cut those, contractually, we're obligated to do that.
Otherwise, this goes up more.
Just-
Okay.
I'm gonna be sitting over at the
So-
new field for the soccer team. Don't cut it, cause I'll be sitting there.
So on the part-time wages, what do you figure are, how many hours a week you think that's gonna be for those?
I had it figured out. I can't keep it in my head right now.
Probably
Yeah, it's like 2
Half a
months
week.
or 3 months of
full,
yeah.
full-time, 2
Yeah.
months? Okay.
You want that job? I'm thinking about going for it.
I don't want it, no.
Do you get
And
holidays
then
off?
that part-time would not be part of the cemetery, it's a total different,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I'm retired, I don't wanna do any of this.
But this
Just
is
saying, it looks
part-time,
like
so
a-
that means no benefits.
If it was,
right?
if it was like
Yeah.
4 hours a
Yeah,
day, I
it's
was thinking I could use a side job.
Okay. No, it's just
Okay.
it's just
8 hours a day, I can't do
you
it.
can't really call it.
Can't do it.
It's summer help.
Okay.
Dave doesn't want to argue.
And believe it or not, the other two items that are listed here, the 500 or the 150, are actually just blades.
Yeah.
They cut so much they just go through blades. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I
What
can
is the
understand.
playground
Okay,
supplies
so
for
Jo-
Memorial
right-
Field?
So why under cemeteries are there no wages for cemeteries in the 21?
I didn't carry it because when I figured it all out, that part-time wage, if you pay them just above minimum, was enough to do both.
Oh, so the 355 would carry it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's playground supplies?
We did some playground repairs last season.
Oh, when the swing broke.
We fixed the swing, and we fixed there was a big sheet of plexiglass some kids had broke overnight. It was like $300 that had to be made. We replaced that as well. Probably 2 swings, or 3 swings, and then a large piece of plexiglass. When we proposed our capital budget, we suggested that the capital improvement committee can consider replacing the equipment at that site.
We had a
What's-
big
what site is
insurance
this?
claim, the playground up by town hall.
Memorial.
Oh, okay.
We had a,
It's right over here.
Yeah.
we had a
Right.
big insurance claim taken out against the town for someone who went on some piece of equipment and
Cut
the
their
kid
finger.
cut through a bunch of their fingers.
Ooh,
So
I don't know how they
it's-
did it.
Yeah, it's
We removed the swing, but
So it was on the swing?
Remove the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Was it vandalized or was it just old and
Just
broken
old.
down?
Yeah. But the insurance claim covered the cost of the visit, the stitches, the tetanus checks
Mhm.
because there were all rusted chains.
Yep.
So, yeah.
wow.
All those damn swings worked good when I was there. I don't understand.
And that was
Back-
only
back
a
in the
couple
day.
weeks ago,
That was
huh?
only a couple weeks.
did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
And that's why I broke it out.
Just
'Cause
keep
it's-
plowing my roads and I'm perfectly fine.
Okay.
You've been doing a great job this year, keep it up.
Thank you. I'm sorry about the confusion, but I really had to list where the money's going.
No, I think
No.
this is great.
No, I think it's great.
Gotta
I
start
told you
someplace.
earlier,
I'll get the totals put together.
it makes a lot more sense to tell us exactly how it breaks down.
And I hope you guys support us with putting some more items under snow, because we're too wide open.
yeah.
there.
Yeah, it needs to be there.
Okay, so I guess I don't understand what that request was, what do you mean?
Adding the new line items under snow rather than just salt.
The
and
way it
sand.
is
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
You're
now
not looking
that-
for more, you just
No,
wanted this one.
I just moved it.
He
I'm
was just
totally
gonna
agree
bring
with
up the
that.
next thing, he
Yeah.
wants a $350,000 truck. That's what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how he
The
thinks.
hell? Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Yep,
Anything?
so I got a couple of questions. So where's the town at with the Palmagussit Road rebuilding and sidewalks and stuff?
Don't hold your breath.
The tip project.
The TIP project, currently scheduled for FY '22,
22, okay.
but we're not in control of that.
The Commonwealth
It's
is.
That's actually the Central Mass Regional
Yeah, regional planning.
Planning Group is they schedule or move projects around based on where they are at. To answer your question, have we done everything we can? Yes.
Oh, okay, but wouldn't the town have to do some engineering work or something
We've
to
hired somebody, it's all done.
set it up?
It's all done.
Oh, that's done, so,
Yes.
okay, so that would
Just
be
waiting
one,
for the,
so they shouldn't push it
The
off. I mean,
bad news
if the
is-
town's got their part done, they shouldn't push it off too far then.
Yeah, but the bad news is, the way the road is currently, it's not gonna last till 2022.
Well, that could be, but that's why I'm asking
We'll just
where
have to
we're at.
patch it.
Yeah.
And does that include work on I say Cochrans Pond, but down here, at the bottom, does it
culvert.
work on the dam and the
Yes.
under road culvert
Yep.
and all that stuff?
Yes.
That's
And that's,
Taken care of.
there's a couple things that, so, we also added a piece of water main to that job, because we had 3 water breaks on Palmagussit in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we wanna replace the water main on Palmagussit, that's what the people who administer the tip funds would consider a qualifying item. So the town would have to pay for the water main, but we don't have to pay to restore the road. So we're gonna add that water work to the job because the road's gonna be all torn up, but we won't have to say pay for the pavement.
Right.
A good chunk of the dam work is what's considered non-qualifying. The town is gonna pay for that using some chapter 90 funds. It's roughly $500,000.
Does
We've
the-
already
Does the
approved
town own that?
Yes.
most of it. It's under the road.
I thought that was private.
That dam and stuff.
Mm.
The dam,
I thought that was private.
I didn't-
Now-
The culvert's not. though.
So the
That's
culvert is
The dam's
covered under the
private,
road
culvert's
job,
not.
but the abutments aren't, or the edges of the dam aren't, but they are within the right of way. So the folks administering the money consider that a non-qualifying
Yeah.
item.
And
So to
because-
make sure the project didn't stall, we moved a big chunk of chapter 90 money, around $600,000 to cover the town's portion, because I
Okay.
knew no one from town would be able to come up with $500,000. But I would not allow the project to stall.
No,
So that's
but
why
I
I
guess
did
that's
that.
part of my, I mean, so it's moving along and,
Yeah.
because we've talked about
And I
it
said-
for a number of years now, so.
And we have a recent update from both the consulting engineer and Mass DOT, and those were both submitted to the Board of Selectmen mid-January.
Yes.
So they have updates.
Okay, then my other question is Maple Ave and whatever, the sidewalks, what are we doing on, because I have a very intimate relationship with that sidewalk on Maple Avenue.
Okay, which portion?
Well, we were told a couple of years ago that we were, within the next fall, we were gonna get the sidewalks on Maple Avenue redone.
That's not on the list, by the way.
You, not by you, by the previous superintendent, that, because there was a petition presented to the selectmen.
I'm
and
very much,
since-
I do know that. So what the previous administration was trying to do was pay for the sidewalk repairs using what's called complete streets funding,
Oh, I think, okay,
okay? Complete streets funding is different from chapter 90. Chapter 90 is money you get from the Commonwealth and you can apply to roadway repairs at your own discretion. It's guaranteed. Complete streets money is different. It's actually a competitive grant process. And the town has to pay for engineering, and there's no guarantee you'll get the money. Now, did I meet with the folks who administer the complete streets money and start to work on the design? Yes, I did. But I would caution you that there is no guarantee that we will A, get the funds, or B, be able to get it done on time this summer. We're gonna make every effort? Yes.
okay.
It's
We-
just not.
I'm
because-
just saying, we were told that it would be within the next, I think
You were-
it was
you-
in the spring, this was in the fall, it
But
was
a
gonna
couple
be
quick
set.
things. They were told, but there was also no money.
No, I see what you're
So-
saying, I'm just saying, we were told, and nothing's happened yet, so that's why
You
I'm
were told to
asking.
keep, basically to keep you quiet, I think. Is probably-
No, not at all.
Not you, I mean,
The sidewalk thing is,
he didn't have the money at the time when he told
They
us.
did not.
Yeah, so, they were
they
hoping,
they applied for a grant.
they were
They had
hoping
a
they
water
get
and
it,
sewer.
so.
Next question.
By all means.
We haven't done water and sewer yet, I have my questions.
No, you can ask water and sewer questions.
No, we
now.
haven't done the budget yet, we're not on those budgets, right?
No, we're not.
You had mentioned in the memo, I believe, about you're gonna make like a list of all the streets and quality and that.
We have to.
Kind of go over what's priority wise. Of course, this is a big chunk of some of the money anyway, so you don't have that list. You're
No.
gonna do that list, yeah.
We have to come up with a plan. We're not there yet.
Okay.
Who, I'm sorry,
No,
but
no,
just
go ahead.
nothing to do with finance, just.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to finance, that's all.
Well,
Can
that's
I
too
have a
bad.
cookie?
Yes.
Pass the
Who's
magic.
responsible for, like, if somebody wants to,
Give 'em a
like,
cookie.
get a street, stop sign put somewhere?
You request that to the selectmen.
It's like, okay,
And then they send it to me and the police chief and the fire chief. We all.
I'm just curious. I gotta go to a selectman meeting, I guess.
Is there any further finance?
Finance committee questions? Yes, when is your term over?
Whoa,
You can have the job soon.
No, I don't want to.
All right,
If you would like to see the plans for Palmagussit Arcade.
thank you for coming tonight. For that breakdown, I think is what really is needed. And I think a lot of hard work went into it.
Yeah, I didn't
appreciate it.
total it like that, and I can see why the merit behind that.
We'll
I can
we'll
give
get
you
those numbers. Is there any other new business?
Do
Any
you want
old
to talk
business?
quick about water and sewer? Give these folks a friendly update as to where we're at, or?
I say we wait until we get the budget, that way we have a better, more clear picture.
Any old business?
So, just a question on the,
The books?
the book itself.
Yep.
When you put the sheets, the worksheets out
Yep.
onto the drive,
Yeah.
are they editable out there, or are they just readable?
There should be editable.
Okay.
Yeah.
The bylaw stuff that we.
The
went over
ones
what-
that you sent us?
Yeah.
No, they're not.
They're
They're
not.
view only. You
Really?
send them out as view only. So they're actually done in Excel.
Yeah.
So you would have to open them into sheets
And click
and
it.
then change it.
Okay.
You'd have to make a copy of it to put it
Okay.
in
Okay.
if you wanted to edit it.
We
Okay.
can make them editable too. That's
I
just a
just-
Well,
second
we
line.
shouldn't be editing.
Yeah, you don't want
No,
to. You don't want to do
No,
that.
I
Yeah,
don't,
we shouldn't be
well,
editing.
it's
Leave them
not,
uneditable.
well, it's not that I wanna change anything, I just like to be able,
Notes.
I might do things
Well,
that would
notes.
say.
Different
Yeah.
things, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that bylaws that we met with last week,
Send them a pack of
right?
pencils.
Just when are they gonna Is that gonna be at the meeting to change to vote that bylaw in?
They're gonna come back to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're gonna talk about what they present back to us again.
Yeah.
And there's
This
some
is the
questions
finance
going on.
committee one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still some questions going on and how
Yeah,
they're
it's
actually
okay.
doing
Oh,
their
no, 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 I
bylaws.
just,
and
but he puts them in the.
Mike's working on some.
Read
of
on
them,
them.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they gotta, well, I shouldn't say they gotta.
they're
We
coming-
certainly would have to have an opportunity to present our side of that, because I think there's a lot of, I don't know if the right word is flaws in there, but there's a
Yeah,
lot of
that's-
things that need to be
A lot of
corrected.
differences.
Absolutely.
Biggest
Right.
one was thinking that the town administrator developed the budget, not us.
Sorry.
So is it done?
No, he knows, he knows.
I know. I'm sure he.
Well, he does. He
All
puts
right.
it together.
I'm sure.
It's- You're supposed to do it, right.
Motion
I don't like you
to
anymore.
adjourn from anybody?
So moved.
Oh, you make
Have a
motion?
second?
Oh,
Second.
Second.
Anybody
All in
wants to-
favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who wants to stay?
Thank you.